addressing security and privacy in an era of convergence. I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Dr. Larry Ponemon, chairman and founder of the Ponemon Institute. Welcome, Dr. Ponemon.
Greetings, Sonia. Good to be here.
Thank you. So, what is the mission of the Ponemon Institute?
Well, Ponemon Institute is a research company. We're in our 20th year. It's hard to believe. Started the company 20 years ago when I was a young man. And we basically are focused on cybersecurity, data protection, privacy, and other related disciplines or fields that relate to computer security. And we all have backgrounds in cybersecurity. That's kind of the calling card of Ponemon Institute. We have a lot of geeks, really great people. I'm a geek, I admit. So the bottom line is we will hopefully continue for another 40 years. At the rate I'm going to retirement, I'll be 122 years old.
You partnered with OpenSky on a report titled 2019 Safety, Security, and Privacy in the Interconnected World of IT, OT, and IIoT Study. When conducting the research for the study, what industries did you target and how many organizations did you reach out to and survey?
Well, the unit of analysis in the study was an individual. And in total, we had nearly 600 people who are knowledgeable or experts in cybersecurity participate in the study. It was a US-based study, although folks who report in the study may come from other parts of the world. They just happen to be located in the US for business purposes. We basically have a full range of responses by industry. In total, we have 19 different industry categories featured. The largest industry sector is financial services, followed by industrial and manufacturing, healthcare, and a number of others. And by the way, you don't have to take copious notes, audience, because at the end of the presentation, I'll tell you how to get a copy of a really neat white paper.
In an industrial setting, what are the top concerns when information technology, operational technology, and the industrial Internet of Things converge?
Right. So basically, you hope to get alignment with privacy, data protection, cybersecurity, and so on. Even safety issues kind of relate. And what we find is a lot of organizations have a difficult time kind of putting it all together and having proper alignment. The other alignment issue is around business objectives. A lot of the technical security issues, for example, are basically set against its own set of standards versus those that align with the business as a whole. And as a result of that, there are gaps. Organizations have a hard time implementing the right control and doing it in a cost-efficient way. Alignment is a devastating issue, or a lack of alignment in so many different organizations that we've studied for years. And the big problem is turf and silos. Organizations that aren't aligned, they basically have people who are in the company, they're doing their own thing. And they're not talking to their neighbor in another department, and they might be redundant, or they might actually be grossly inefficient because they're not sharing information. So that's a big problem in today's technological universe.
What are some of the disruptive technologies that actually affect convergence?
That's a good question. We basically know the Internet of Things is a big deal. All of these devices that connect through the Internet, like your refrigerator, your automobile, your Fitbit, your whatever it is, hundreds and hundreds of things are connecting us to computers and systems all over the world. And the problem is, to do it right, you have to have a knowledge of what technologies are used, how they're controlled, where they're located, what are the risks, what are the issues in terms of hackers, because hackers have discovered that you can do a pretty neat denial of service attack on small little IoT devices. So it is a huge problem for a lot of organizations just getting their arms around the problem. And the problem is that it's getting worse, and there's no underlying structure or strategy for dealing with it from a security perspective. So we've been doing research in IoT before IoT was cool. We have a lot of data points over the last 5 or 10 years that show that, we started out where you might have been lucky to have one device connected. Now the average person might have 40 or 50 devices that they don't even think about, like their refrigerator or their stove or their microwave oven that's connected to the system, to the internet usually.
What are the issues you should consider when trying to define the ideal relationship between cybersecurity and business objectives?
Well, that's a great question. Really, you want to make sure that you have leadership buy-in to what you're doing from a security perspective. A lot of folks who are my friends, they're chief information security officers, they complain, they say, my boss, the CIO, or my boss, the CEO, they don't really appreciate what I do. I'm keeping the company whole and protecting us from the bad guys. And you hear this kind of belly aching going on. But the real problem is the people on the technical side, like the CISO, doesn't really know how to communicate effectively to the other non-IT C-level executives. So even though there's a big gap, it's not communicated very well, and a lot of security departments are understaffed and under-resourced.
What are some of the issues that hold organizations back from accomplishing their safety, security, and privacy goals?
A good question. And what we basically know is that a lot of organizations really don't have the right personnel. They take people in IT and they convert them into computer security geniuses. It takes a lot of effort to get the right person. To do it in house could take a long time. So, having the right people, not necessarily the right technology, although that's really important, but having the right personnel to help you manage the cybersecurity risk is essential and a real problem for companies. And simply stated, there are probably about 50% of all vacancies in security go unfilled year in, year out. The demand for security people is just enormous, and the salaries are pretty good too, but for whatever reason, we just can't keep up with that demand. When you compare the United States against, say, Russia or China, it's pitiful. They're educating 65 to 70,000 people a year to be cybersecurity experts. And we're getting maybe 2,000 or 3,000 if you add the NSA and the IS and the CIA and other three-level initial organizations. So it is definitely an issue for the United States. And for the most part, we're doing a good job, but we're slow. We're catching up, but very, very slowly.
So, what does it take to craft an effective security message to the CEO or executive team?
Well, you start off by explaining by doing, demonstrate just how vulnerable the organization is to attack. We talk about the white hat, the black hat, the gray hat. You get someone wearing a hat to come into your organization and demonstrate that without proper controls, certain issues are very, very difficult to control. And as a result, by not having the right resources or staff, you're very, very vulnerable. And it's always a surprise. We used to do a lot of these simulations where we'd have the CEO or the COO of the company, or even board members trying to figure out, how bad is it? And we'd do like a phishing scam. And it was, here's an email. What would you do if we told you that, this email was infested with, all sorts of malware? And they would say, oh, it's just an email. It's not can't be a big problem. And ding, the simulation shows that they brought down the company, $100 million less revenues as a result of making the wrong choice on a single email. So giving them the sense that it is a problem that can be controlled, but it's important that they get buy-in and express the commitment, if you will, to the cybersecurity folks. We're very lonely in organizations, so it's nice when a CEO says, I don't know exactly what you're doing, but we love it that we have people like you, and here, shake my hand. Here's a little bonus. Little things like that make a big difference.
Dr. Larry Ponemon, chairman and founder of the Ponemon Institute. Thanks for connecting with us and giving us some insight onto this research. If somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best way they can do that?
I'm going to give you my personal email, which is larry@ponemon.org. Larry@ponemon.org. We want to hear from you. We're very lonely up here in northern Michigan, so please call us.
Sure enough. Thanks again. And if you guys want to connect with me, you can do that right here or go to tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.